Hello, hello everyone, welcome. As you can see in today's live, I'm going to be using a ton of products from Waffle Flower. In fact, when I planned out the card for tonight, I gave Nina over at Waffle Flower the heads up and said, hey girl, you might wanna come over and take a look tonight and maybe be in the chat so people can see who all these products are from. So like I said, today's card has a bunch of Waffle Flower supplies on it, but this card design could be adapted for a lot of different things. So if you want to make one right now tonight and you don't have the supplies, check your stash. You might have something similar. And also, if you like any of these, you can check out the links down below to pick them up. So here is my card sketch for tonight. Looks a little crazy, but basically I'm going to be creating a 5x7 card. I'm going to have a kind of like a margin on it. I'm going to have a piece of cardstock with this wood grain stamp on it. The main grading is going to come from this stamp set, Sentiment Editions. And then I'm going to have some leaves, so it's going to be autumn themed. And we're going to create a plaid pattern with some stencils, and which is the striped plaid trio. And then I've got a few dies we're going to throw in as well. Should be a lot of fun. And let's get into it, because there's a lot of different kind of different aspects to this card. We're going to do quite a bit of die cutting. So I'm just zooming out here so we can see my whole work surface here. And I'm going to be doing some die cutting with this gold-hearted mixed card pack from Tonic Studios. Let's get started here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of sizing of what size die cuts I want to be using. Okay, so as you can see in my card design, I have this hexagon feature in the center, and that was inspired by these hexagon frames. And I do want to use the largest one. So I want to have some paper behind it for my 5x7 card. So I picked out the A7 Layers dies, and I need to pick out what size of paper to do for this one. So I think I'm just going to kind of put this over the top, kind of get an idea of how big I want it to be, you know, how much space I want on the outer edge. And I looked at it earlier and I kind of sized it to this one right here. So let's see if that's going to give me enough size around, because I want to make sure I can see my stamped pattern around the hexagon area. So I think this is probably the better size. So we're going to cut some cardstock out of that. And we're also going to cut a frame for our hexagon shape in the center of the card. And I also grabbed another set of dies from Waffle Flower. Waffle Flower has a lot of really great like staple dies, like nested circles, nested squares, nested ovals, things like that. So because I'm using a hexagon frame die, I thought it'd be nice to have the hexagon, the nesting hexagon, so that I can cut out a piece that can go behind the frame and have it be the perfect size. So I'm going to pull this out and try to figure out which is the correct size. Did I pick out the right one right off? Wow, that's unheard of. Okay, so that looks like that's probably about the right size. So we've got three things to die cut. This first piece right here is going to be die cut out of some craft cardstock. This is actually craft cardstock from Gina K. All right. So here's my piece right here. The next die cutting I'm going to do is, let's do the piece that's going to go behind the hexagon. All right, we're going to do this out of some dark chocolate cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. And I've got all right, so we have our hexagon now. Okay, so now I've got the hexagon frame, and that one is going to be cut out of some of this gold cardstock from this Tonic Studios gold-hearted mixed card pack. I really like this one that's at the back of the pack. It's got kind of like a brushed metal type of look. It's very unusual. I've never seen this particular kind of pattern in a 6x6 pad. It's kind of fun. Oh, isn't that so pretty? And I can just kind of envision that that brown would be right behind it. I've got to brush this brown cardstock off. It's got little dust specks on it, but how pretty is that going to be? This one right here. We're going to use the wood grain stamp on this one. The color of ink I've chosen for today, I'm going to use a bunch of Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to use Vintage Photo. I'm hoping this is the right brown that I'm kind of looking for. We'll see. Really pressing that down. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to stamp a little bit on that end. Just to, in fact, I really only need to ink up 1/2 of this. And I'll just try to there we go. So now it looks a little bit more continuous. Well, this really simplifies all of the stamping because I don't have to stamp in a bunch of different colors because I think I'm going to do them in gold and cut them out and then ink blend onto them to color all the leaves. I think that's going to be a really effective way to have multicolored leaves, but only have to stamp it once. All right, I'm going to use an anti-static powder tool because, as we know, we practice good heat embossing processes here, right? All right, I'm going to ink this up with some Versamark. All right, press this down. Make sure I get a good impression on all of those. So I'm using Brutus Monroe Gilded Embossing Powder. Oh, look at those dainty lines. This is going to be so pretty. So for the greeting, I'm using the Sentiment Editions 2, and I'm going to be using the dies as well. So I'm going to do the stamping now, and then I can die cut these at the same time that I die cut the leaves. Here's some more of that Gilded Embossing Powder. Oh, I love gold heat embossing on vellum. Oh, so pretty. I love that one. All right. Okay, so here's a tip. This is something I kind of came across during our last online card class called Crushing on Cardstock. There's a link down below in the video description. If you have a magnetic mat that is part of your die cutting sandwich, you can use it to help you position your dies and get the positioning of them absolutely as close to perfect as possible. So I have a really strong magnet sheet here. I can't cut into it without damaging it, so I will have to turn it over before I cut. But when I put my die on it, it has a little resistance and it doesn't slide around as much. So, you know, if you've got slippery fingers or whatever, it gives you a little bit more precision. Sorry about the head in the way. Bring this down closer. It gives you a little more precision when you are positioning your dies. And then you just tape them in place, right? And then you can lift them up, flip it over. I find that it just really helps me get a better, you know, absolutely perfect cut. I'm gonna tape that down right there too. All right, so now as I lift this, none of them are moving. Flip that over and we're ready to die cut. That's just a little something that I discovered on my own, and I thought I'd pass along the knowledge. Here's a really good question from Happy Stamp. They ask, can you use that magnetic plate with any machine? No, this one is specific for the Anna Griffin Empress machine, but a lot of die cutting machines out there, like the brands, will have a magnetic shim that they sell. It either will come with your machine or you can buy it separately. In fact, I guess if you wanted to just buy this magnetic piece, you probably could, but just don't die cut on it. You could just use it for positioning of your dies. That you could do that too. And we're going to do a bunch of ink blending, including ink blending on a stencil. And since we're just loving the waffle flower tonight, I am pulling out my Waffle Flower Water Medium Matte, which is Let's see, we're gonna start. Let's go ahead and ink blend these leaves. I've got some Distress Oxide ink colors. We're gonna use Wild Honey, Candied Apple, Aged Mahogany, and Ripe Persimmon. How pretty will that be? All right, let's start with Aged Mahogany. And we'll just start blending down right here. Oh, I do have to hold the die cut just a little bit, but for the most part, that's really pretty. Let's try some Candied Apple. I like this leaf for that one. Oh my word, Daphne is in fine form tonight. She is running around. I don't know if you guys can hear her. It's crazy. Daphne. Oh yeah, Candied Apple, such a good red. You know what, I think I will do this as a two-tone. It's calling out to me. Why not, right? I'm gonna switch to Ripe Persimmon and come in from the bottom. Actually, I'm gonna have to turn this so I can hold it. Now let's go into Wild Honey. Oh, so pretty. I love that. That color is such a good golden yellow. I tend to use mustard seed more. I don't know why, because this is such a good color. All right, here's some Aged Mahogany. We'll do the little leaf in peeled paint. Grab my green blending brush. I'm gonna start with Wild Honey and have the peeled paint be at the bottom. I think that'd be really pretty. So I'm just gonna hold this right here. I'm gonna have like very yellow tips. And then I'll turn this around and I will have peeled paint coming from the other side. Just coming up from the bottom. You can definitely see where that tape was. Isn't that funny? You know, so that goes to show, you got to be careful where you put that tape on these die cuts. Going back to Wild Honey, I'm just walking that green back a little bit because I think it kind of overtook the yellow. There we go. Oh, it's cute, but you know what? I almost wish I didn't do the white. I should have done like a softer brown, right? I think that would have looked better. Or not put quite as much white on there. Do we feel like going the extra mile? I think I might feel like going the extra mile. This is my first attempt at this Plaid Stencil, and I know it can look better with better color combo. So indulge me, we're gonna do that. That dark chocolate's very, very dark. I probably could use any other brown. In fact, maybe I'll just use that Vintage Photo. Let's test it. That's really subtle, but maybe that's what we want. We want it to be really subtle. And once it's on pretty thick, it'll be great. All right, so I'm gonna do what Nina says, put that in the corner. Oh, look at that. Nina, is this why the stencil is this size? Because it fits directly into the corner? Seriously, that's gotta be why, right? All right, let's try this. And I'm just gonna be really careful doing the swipe up and holding the stencil. I think that's really all it needs. And I kind of think this tone on tone brown thing's gonna look really pretty. All right, I'm not gonna worry about this little tiny edge here. Oh yeah. There we go. Okay, let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, I really like the more subtle stripes. I think that looks great. Okay, and then I'm sort of suspecting because I have that in the corner, can I just do this right over the top? I don't know if that would work. Oh, I think I'm going to switch to wild honey. Yeah. Ooh, candied apple would be really pretty though too. Nope, we'll go with wild honey. I don't have to ink all this up, just the top half up here. So I'll just worry about that. Trying to make sure I go in the same direction as the stripes so I don't accidentally brush up the stencil. I mean, you could use pixie spray if you wanted to be really precise. I feel like I'm like, you know, I'm really tempting fate here. Oh, yes. Okay. I think like with most things, like stencils like this, just require a little bit of practice. Trying to be gentle so it stops pulling out the stencil. All right. Ah, so cute. Okay, I like that. I'm glad I redid it. Oh, so cute. Now we're ready to start assembling. Okay, so we have our that and that. And then we have our gold frame. Oh my word, it is coming together so nicely. I love it so much. Okay, we're gonna have the hello going across the bottom. And then I was going to have the leaves kind of poking out from the frame at the bottom. I think I'll just have the red one be on foam adhesive. The rest of these are just going to be glued directly down. You know, and if it's not the same exact arrangement, it's not the end of the world. Okay. It was something like this. I don't remember. Glue. And if the edges are popping up, I'm totally okay with that. I'm going to be using this skinny foam for this outer edge here. So I'm going to use that on the red leaf too. And then I can just have the frame be on the same level as the red leaf. Okay. Alrighty, and then this comes in right here. Oh, I think that's gonna be super cute. Okay, try to get this just right. So I gotta put my head over top. Okay. There we go. I love that. Hexagon's a little off, but that's okay. And we're gonna get this mostly center, but maybe a little bit more toward the top. And I can press down the center there. That glues that down. Okay, that's where it's at. And it also gives me two little tails to adhere it and not have the adhesive in the center. Okay, where'd my glue go? Here we go. First, let's put it on my tweezers. And then just a little glue on each end. Okay. Okay. There we go. Someone was saying, what about a little bit of this leaf right here in that bottom corner? It's not a bad idea. Right there. Kind of like it. I want a little shorter though. Right there. There we go. You know what? It almost needs gold sequins. And then just these last two. One that's kind of peeking out. The other down below. Okay, I think I got all of them. Yep, none of them are moving. So here's the card for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I really love this whole journey that I was taken on trying to make this card. I'm glad I redid the plaid. I'm glad I added the leaf. And then also, you know, debating on adding those sequins. I'm glad I eventually did because I think it looks just so magical and just even more autumn-like. So love it. Thanks so much for watching today. I'll be back on Friday with another card video. See you then.